Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the daily quiz discussion for the 10th of June 2022. Let us begin our session today with a quote by the famous French writer and poet Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. He once said, "A goal without a plan is just a wish." On similar lines, one can say, preparing for the UPSC Civil Services exam and hoping to clear it without a strategy or well thought out plan is just wishful thinking. Given the scale of syllabus as well as competition, the UPSC Civil Services exam happens to be one of the most challenging exams. To crack this exam, a proper strategy is inevitable. And to help you in this direction, we are glad to announce the free workshop for the preparation strategy for the Civil Services exam. This session will be handled by Sarmad sir, wherein sir will discuss strategies for both prelims and mains. He would also provide useful insights regarding choosing the right optional subjects as well as covering the current affairs topics. So do join us live on the 11th of June at 6 p.m. Please note, this workshop is exclusive to the BYJU'S Exam Prep app. So to participate in this workshop, you need to download the app and register for the workshop. Please find the registration link in the description box below. Also, for those aspirants who have just given their UPSC Civil Services Prelims exam and are hoping to qualify for the mains exam, we are glad to announce the Target Mains 2022. Under this initiative, we would have two broad pillars. The first one being the revision of the entire main syllabus, and also there would be answer writing practice. Note, there would be live discussion of both the static as well as current affairs topics by our expert IAS faculty. With respect to the answer writing practice platform, aspirants would be allowed to upload their answers and the same would be evaluated by subject experts. Note, even model answers to these questions will also be provided. This initiative would be starting from the 13th of June at 7:30 p.m. Daily, starting from the 13th, we would have 1.5 hour sessions handled by our expert IAS faculty. Please note, while the first two episodes, that is the 13th and 14th sessions, will be available on the YouTube, but the subsequent sessions will be available only on the BYJU'S Exam Prep app. So to be part of this initiative, do download the app. Now let's begin with the daily quiz discussion for the day. The first question reads, which of the following statements is or are correct? The first statement reads, an election to fill the vacancy caused by the expiration of the term of office of the outgoing president is required to be completed within 6 months of the end of the term, until which the outgoing president will serve as the caretaker president. The second question statement reads, political parties can issue a whip to their members to vote in favor of a candidate like that observed in the elections to the Rajya Sabha. Please have a look at the options. Now let's understand the context. This article from the PIB notes the upcoming election to the office of President of India. This article from the Hindu notes that the term of the current president Ramnath Kovind ends on July 24th. So the election commission has proposed the date for the presidential election on July 18th. Coming back to the question. Please note, the election to fill the vacancy caused by the expiration of the term of the office of the outgoing president is required to be completed before the expiry of the term. So there is no 6 months time frame available. The election to the next president should be held even before the expiry of the term of the preceding president. This is provided for in the Article 62 of the Indian Constitution. So the first statement is wrong. Also note, the political parties cannot issue a whip. That is, the electoral college members are allowed to exercise something known as the conscience vote. So the second statement is also wrong. Since the question asks for the correct statement, the answer to this question would be option D, neither 1 nor 2. Moving on to the second question. Consider the following statements with respect to the World Investment Report. The first statement says, it is published by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. The second statement says, as per this report, India is third largest foreign direct investment receiving country after China and the US. Which of the above statements are correct? Please have a look at the options. Now, what is the context? This article from today's The Indian Express notes the 19 billion fall in FDI inflows into India. This is based on the findings of the World Investment Report by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Please note, the World Investment Report analyzes the trends in foreign direct investment worldwide, and it also suggests measures to improve it. The report notes a drastic fall in the global flows of foreign direct investment, mostly attributable to the COVID-19 pandemic. India too has been affected. The FDI inflows in India have reduced from 64 billion in 2020 to 45 billion in 2021. Also note, despite this drop in FDI inflows, India continues to remain placed at the 7th position with respect to FDI inflows in 2021. Coming back to the question, the first statement is correct. That is, the World Investment Report is published by the UNCTAD or United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. The second statement is wrong. Why? India is not placed third. It is in fact 7th as per the 2021 report. Moving on to the third question of the day, which reads, consider the following pairs of sea and bordering countries. There are four pairs of seas and bordering countries. They are as follows. The first pair is Aegean Sea, Turkey. The second one, Sea of Okhotsk, Japan, Adriatic Sea, Italy, and Tasman Sea, Australia. Which of the following pairs is correctly matched? So what is the context? This article from today's The Hindu notes Turkish president criticizing Greece for building military presence in the Aegean Islands. This, he argues, is in violation of existing treaties and threatens the peace and security of the region. He has called on Greece to demilitarize these Aegean Islands. Coming back to the question, the first pair is correctly matched, that is Aegean Sea and Turkey. Note, Aegean Sea is an elongated embayment of the Mediterranean Sea. It lies between Asia and Europe. It lies between Balkans and the Anatolia region of Turkey. It is also connected to the Marmara Sea and Black Sea to its north. So apart from Turkey, even Greece borders Aegean Sea. Moving on to the second pair. Sea of Accords lies in the Western Pacific Ocean region. It is bordered by both Japan and Russia. The second pair is also correctly matched. Moving on to the third pair, that is Adriatic Sea. Note, Adriatic Sea is part of the Mediterranean Sea. It lies along the eastern coastline of Italy and the Balkan Peninsula. The other countries bordering the Adriatic Sea include Albania, Bosnia, and Slovenia. The third pair is correctly matched. Moving on to the fourth sea, Tasman Sea. Tasman Sea is located in the South Pacific Ocean region. It lies between Australia and New Zealand. The fourth pair is also correctly matched. Since the question asks for the correctly matched pairs, the answer is option C, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Moving on to the fourth question of the day, which reads, which of the following statements is or are incorrect with respect to bond yields? The two question statements are as follows. There is an inverse relationship between the bond price and bond yield. The second statement reads, higher interest rates in the economy will lead to lowering of the bond yields. Please have a look at the options. So what is the context? This article from today's The Indian Express notes the rise of the bond yields in India. It analyzes what the impact of this bond yield rise will have for the markets as well as the investors. Coming back to the question. Before we get down to discussing the answer, let's understand what we mean by bond. In simple terms, bond is a loan given by the bondholder or purchaser to the bond issuer. Governments, corporations, municipalities issue bonds when they need capital. Please note, bonds can be also bought and sold in secondary markets. Now let's understand what we mean by bond yield. Bond yield is the amount of return an investor realizes on a bond. It is given by the following formula. It is given by annual coupon payment divided by bond price. Here coupon payment meaning interest. Please note there is an inverse relationship between bond yield and bond price. That is, as the bond price goes up, the yield, bond yield will come down and vice versa. That is, when the bond price goes down, the bond yield will go up. Hence, the first statement is correct. That is, there is an inverse relationship between bond price and bond yield. Similarly, let us understand the relationship between interest rates in the economy and the bond yields. Note, as the interest rates in an economy increase, bond prices come down. Now, how does one explain this? As interest rates in an economy increases, the people who have invested in the bond market are incentivized to sell their bonds and instead invest that money in higher interest yielding instruments. As a consequence, the bond prices come down. Also, as discussed previously, as the bond prices come down, the yield, that is the bond yield, will increase. So note, as the interest rate increases, the bond yield also increases. So we can say that the second statement is wrong. Note, the question asks for the incorrect statement. So the answer to this question would be option B, 2 only. Moving on to the last question of the day. This is a question from the UPSC 2019 General Studies Paper 1. The question reads, which of the following are the reasons for the occurrence of multi-drug resistance in microbial pathogens in India? First one, genetic predisposition of some people. Second one, taking incorrect doses of antibiotics to cure diseases. Third one, using antibiotics in livestock farming. And fourth one, multiple chronic diseases in some people. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Please have a look at the options. Now, what do we mean by multi-drug resistance? This is the resistance shown by organisms to more than one drug. This is a consequence of the antimicrobial resistance in pathogens. Genetic makeup of a population has nothing to do with multi-drug resistance. Also, the multiple chronic diseases in some people also has nothing to do with multi-drug resistance. Note, taking incorrect doses of antibiotics as well as the excessive use of antibiotics in livestock farming gives rise to antimicrobial resistance. And this gives rise to multi-drug resistance in microbial pathogens. Note, India remains one of the top users of antibiotics, both in humans as well as in livestock farming. So the correct answer to this question would be option B, 2 and 3 only. Moving on to the fact of the day, Corvettes. What is the context? This article from the Indian Express notes the Defence Acquisition Council granting acceptance of necessity certificate for next generation corvettes for the Navy. Now let's understand what are corvettes. Corvettes are the smallest class of naval ship. Given their size, they are generally agile. They are generally categorized as missile boats, anti-submarine ships, as well as fast attack naval vessels. With respect to corvettes in the Indian Navy, we have Komarta class of corvettes. This is part of the Project 28. Note, we have four operational corvettes, namely Komarta, Kadmat, Kiltan and Kavaratti. Their main role in the Navy is anti-submarine. They have been built indigenously. Note, the next generation corvette, apart from its anti-submarine role, will also play roles like surveillance, escort, surface action group and coastal defense. This is all for today. Thank you for being with us.